Welcome all of you class. I am Durgesh Kumar Pandey. Class, I want to explain a chapter in class 12 and the name of this chapter is Plant Development. Class, India was got the independence on 15 August 1947 and after the independence India faced many challenges and you already studied that there was three major challenges. First challenges is for nation building, the second challenges is to establish democracy, and the third challenges is to ensure the development and well-being of all. So class, today in this chapter we will going to discuss about the development and well-being of all. We discuss the third challenges for our nation after the independence. Class, when India was got the independence, Britishers leave India and they left a ruined economy for us. And we have a challenge of economic development, how we make the plan for economic development. So we will going to discuss in this chapter. First of all, a story in your book, a memorandum of understanding was signed by the government of Odisha with some domestic players and also with some international players, and there was a increase the demand of iron and steel in all over the world. So it is the demand that world have a need, in all over the world there is a need of iron ore and steel. That is why the Odisha government was looking this as an opportunity, and the government of Odisha was start doing something like government of Odisha was signing the memorandum of understanding with the domestic and private players, and the government of Odisha want to, this is an opportunity in the Odisha, because in the Odisha under the crust, under the forest, there was a huge mine of iron ore and steel, and this is a big opportunity for the Odisha, and that is why Odisha want to investment in the Odisha, which produce the employment to the people of Odisha and also the economic development for the Odisha. But at the same time there was some problem, like when we were going to drain the iron ore from the crust, the trees were cut in a large scale. So there is a problem of environment, when the trees were going to cut in this mining activity, so there was a great damage of the environment. So environmentalists were worried about this, and also the problem of displacement of tribals community and the peoples who are living in the near the forest, under the forest. When the government was going for mining, so these peoples were lost their homes where they live from the thousands years. They lost their livelihood. The tribal peoples were earn their livelihood by, they are dependent upon directly on the forest and forest products for the food and shelter. Now when the government was going to implement their plan, these tribal community were displaced and lost their livelihood, lost their house, lost the shelter, lost the food, lost the employment. So there is another problem. So class, but on that time the central government was looking कि if the government of Odisha was not agree for direct investment, so it will giving a bad impression in the international community कि India was not want to trade, India was not ready to cooperate with international community. That is why central government was very worried about कि government of Odisha cannot dismiss their agreement with the international community because this thing will encourage further investment in the India, which provide India employment, technology, investments, and it is very good for India class. Class decision of this kind involve weighting the interest of one social groups against other, means कि welfare of tribal community, welfare of environment are on the cost of the peoples who are enjoying the benefit of the development, means they have a different meaning of development. One's interest with the contradiction of another interest, one social group against another, present generation against future also. When the present generations are enjoying the development, means the burden will taking the future generation. This was also the issue. In a democracy, such major decisions should be taken or at least approved by the people themselves. Means in a democracy, it should be approved by the people. It is important to take the advice from experts on mining. We should be the government or authorities should take the advice of expert on the case of mining, and from environmentalist and also from the economist. So it is a need कि authority take the advice from economist, environmentalist and experts of mining. At the final decision must be a political decision. Final decision political decision ही होना चाहिए, and it is taken by the people's representative who are very close to the people. So final authority is the democratic elected representative. After independence, our country had to make a series of major decisions. Each of these decisions could not be made independent of another such decision. All these decisions were bound together by a shared vision of a model of economic development. Okay, class. Plus, one more thing कि during the freedom struggle, everyone agree upon the development. Almost everyone agree that the development of India should mean both economic growth and social and economical justice. Means growth of India means the economic growth, and also it is the meaning of growth is economical growth and social and economical justice also. कि India should achieve this. There was one more thing one more thing on which everything is agree is कि for model the effort of development, the planning of development should not be left on the industrialist or on the farmers or the private players. It should be left. The government should be taking the planning model of development for the country. Government should taking the responsibility of model of development class. And there is also a thing कि development of the country should ensure development we got with the social justice. Is the plan is centralized or the plan should be depend upon the states. Class, there was a disagreement, however, on the kind of role that the government must play in ensuring growth with justice. Was it necessary to have a centralized institution to plan for the entire country? This is a question. The government make a centralized plan for all over the country. Should the government itself run some key industry and business? Means the government control most of the industries and important industries under their control and regulate them. How much importance was to be attached to the need of justice if it is different from the requirement of the economic growth? मतलब अगर कि how much importance was to be attached to the need of justice if it is different from the requirement of economic growth. Means we have a need of economic growth, so, and we should how much we care about the justice. Each of these questions involve contestation and which has continued over since. Each of the decision had a political consequences. Most of these issues involve political judgments and require consultation among the political parties and approve of the public. That is why we need to study of the process of development as a part of history of the political India. Means the class they think in your book what is left and what is right. Left are those people who are thinking about the welfare of poor and downtrodden peoples and support the policy of the government which was according to need of poor and will support the poor peoples. And the rights are those peoples who are favor the market economy, free competition, and state control should be minimum. So they are known as right. The government in every country there is a two groups. One is right and other is left. Class now come about the ideas of development. What is the meaning of development? Ideas of development. What is the meaning of development class? Class now we are going to discuss about what is development. Development means development means generally different people understand the different meaning of development. Like businessmen who are going to establish an industry and he want to make more production and earn more profit. So according to them, development means more production, more profit. And a person who are want to job, so the meaning of development means to earn the money which ensure the development of their which ensure the fulfill of their basic needs. And tribal community which are living near the forest, so their development means ki he ensure कि they earn their livelihood without displace and without migration. So different people have a different thinking about the development. Bus class in the first decade, there was lots of debate about the development. It was a common then कि for the people to refer to the West as a standard measuring of development. When we follow the Western country, development was about becoming more modern. Development means class becoming more modern. And modern was about becoming more like industrialized countries of the West, or development was about becoming more modern, and modern was about becoming more like the industrialized countries of the West. West की जो इंडस्ट्रीज कंट्री है उनकी तरह बनना ये आपका मॉडर्न कहलाता है. ठीक है क्लास? And this is how the common people as well as the expert thought. And it was believed that every country would go through the process of modernization as in the West, which involved the breakdown of the traditional social structure and the rise of capitalism and liberalization. देखो क्लास, modernization was also associated with the ideas of growth, material progress, and scientific rationality. These kinds of idea of development allow everyone to talk about different modern countries as developed, developing, or underdeveloped class. On the occasion of independent class, India have a two model in all over the countries. One is the model of US, which follow the capitalist economy, and they follow the liberal democracy. And in this there is a minimum interfere of the state. The second model is the USSR model, socialist model. They oppose the private property, and they want the state control economy, means everything is under the control of USSR. So on the occasion of independence in all over the world, there was two popular types of economy and ideology. There were many in India who were deeply impressed by the Soviet model of development. These include not just the leader of the Communist Party of India, but also those of Socialist Party and leader like Nehru, who is the Congress. They are all want to socialist model of economy in India. Nehru, Socialist Party, and Communist Party. There was a very few supporters of the American style of capitalist development. This reflected a broad consensus that developed during the national movement. During the national movement class, there was a consensus among the freedom fighters कि when India was got the freedom, we should come out from the narrowing concept of the development. The government was clear that the task of poverty alleviation and social and economical redistribution was being seen as the primary responsibility of the government. Okay, class. For some, industrialization seemed to be the preferred path. For others, the development of agriculture and particular elevation of rural poverty was the priority. When someone saying कि promote the agriculture and in a particular elevation of rural poverty was the priority class. Class planning. Despite the various differences, there was a common consensus on one point that the government could not be left the plan of development on the private players or industrialists. Government should take in the responsibility of development of the country, and there is a common consensus among the freedom fighters the government to take the design or plan for development. In fact, the idea of planning as a process of rebuilding economy was a good deal, and during the era of 1914 and 1915 there is a common thinking among the people कि the government should take the state take the responsibility of economic development of a state during the World War. Yeah, after the economical problems, economical restructuring, dunia was world was facing economical recession, and there was a consensus among the countries that government should take the state to take the responsibility of economic development of a country. So the government India at the same times we follow like America, Germany, France, both are each are involved in the economic development of their country after the Second World War. So that is why in our government we follow the same thing. Our government was taking the responsibility of economic development. A class during the freedom struggle in 1944, a big industrialists were come together and make a joint proposal for the setting of a plan economy in the country. It was known as the Bombay Plan. The Bombay Plan wanted the state to take the major initiative in the industrial and other economical investment class. Thus, from left to right, planning for the development was the most obvious choice for the country after the independence. Soon after India became independent, the Planning Commission came into being. When India was got the independence, a planning commission was set up in India, and Prime Minister was as chairperson. The first, it became the most influential and central authority for deciding what the path of strategy India would adopt for its development. The idea of planning was very simple. There is two parts of plan budget and non-plan. In non-plan budget is for yearly basis, and plan budget are for 5 years, and we calculate our income and expenditure and in 5 year plan was a planning adopted from the USSR, and after every 5 year plan we adopt second 5 year plan, third 5 year plan, and we follow this.